All right, athletes. So whether you are new to Impact or it's been someplace you've been coming for some time, I thank you one way or the other for being here. And what I wanted to do was give an extended version of our guidelines and some of the things that we go through. So, for one, here at Impact Athletics Association, I'd say first and foremost, it's a worldwide community, is what we call it. And by worldwide community, what I mean is this is for everybody. So in our chats, we ask people to exclude contributions in the chat that pertain to religion, that pertain to sexual orientation, that pertain to gender differences, nationality, choice of worship. You see what I'm saying? Political affiliation. We're all athletes in this moment, and what we want to do is prove that worldwide, what people can have in common is just the ability to want to improve themselves. And by self-improvement, that can be through weight loss, that can be through muscle gain. We also talk about mind, body, and soul. So some people are just coming in because the exercise simply just helps them have a better mindset. And that's a great place. And when soul is kind of a gray area, but it's still one of those things when you've had that talk with yourself, when you know that you need to make that change, I believe that's more soul than mind. I think that there's something deeper, a deeper calling, deeper yearning. And so sometimes that's what we have. So mind, body, and soul is exactly where we are at when we're talking about being here at Impact Athletics Association. The point is betterment of self. So this isn't just about a better body. This is about being a better person. And sometimes going the way of exercise and connecting with people sometimes we don't know is a great place to get. So that's what we ask, to not bring the man-made divides. We do have people occasionally will come in and say something as simple as God bless, or we have a gentleman who's Muslim who come in and say Salaikum Salam and things like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people who come in and insist upon leaving proverbs or trying to convert or insisting on having their way put into the chat. That's not what we do. And my response generally is, hey, I don't go to your Bible study class and kick the door in and talk about, the benefit of burpees over jumping jacks or something like that. This is talking about knowing the room, knowing who you're talking to, knowing who you're engaging with. I think that that's fair. We ask that you respect yourself enough to respect everybody else in the chat. And by that, we're talking about if you don't respect yourself enough to say, I can at least introduce myself and not come in and make just some random comment that sometimes can be taken the wrong way, then the moderators will generally delete your comment and ask you to introduce yourself and come back in and try it again. If it's more egregious, you'll be blocked, and if it's really egregious, then you'll just be hidden from the channel and reported. So the reason we do that is because we want this to be an experience for all stages and ages. So that's not just in the chat, that's the workouts as well. Our workouts are built on calisthenics, built on flexibility, built on low impact movements in a lot of ways. And so what we have is we have some preteens all the way to senior citizens who enjoy some adaptation of these workouts. And that's what I mean by all stages and ages. So not only is the chat built for that, so we ask that there's no profanity, things like that, because again, you have children and you have people who have lived long enough that they would probably appreciate a little respect as the rest of us would. So when we talk about all stages and ages, you may see us doing things that somebody's going to say, well, that's easy. That's baby weight. We've had that one quite a bit. And that's fine for them. If they feel that they need to lift more, that's fine. But there's somebody in all of our lives who could benefit from lifting lesser weight and having somebody nurture their process to get better while they do it. And I think a lot of times people overlook that and forget that part. So, but we haven't. So that's why we say all stages and ages, and we appreciate everybody who wants to come in and join us from all parts of the world. And again, all religions, all politics, all things like that. We have a lot of amazing people here. We really do enjoy the fact that we've been at this now for over a year straight. And we don't ask that people have to join every day, every time. We understand that life is just part of that, that it takes you away from it sometimes. But we just hope that what we can do is impart a little spark of something that says, hey, I enjoyed that, I'm going to go back. Or even if we never cross paths again, that there's something that you took from it that says, you know what, I liked what they were doing. That's something I can implement into my life moving forward. So there's big pieces to that, and I think that that's important to have that sort of interaction, even if it's brief. But generally, when people come in and they've got some like-mindedness, or they're looking for their exercise, things like that, I will generally introduce ourselves and to say, hey, the universe and the algorithm don't get it wrong. And what that means is we can call it fate, kismet, whatever, the divine plan, whatever it is, you're here for a reason. And so when you interact with somebody that you've kind of like found like a common ground with, that's a good place to be at. We have some people come in and they will say some nasty things and they're not ready. We're still here to engage with everybody. And when people do come in and say mean-spirited things or ugly things or just ignorant things, they're a great lesson. They are an absolute great lesson. Look, we can show you and instruct you on how to do push-ups all day, but if we don't show you how to push back and set some boundaries and borders for yourself to say, you know what, I don't have to tolerate that, then we're failing. Or at least I feel that I'm failing here by not teaching the full scope of mind, body, and soul. Now, it's okay if not everybody's ready to receive these experiences. I don't want to call them teachings or lessons or anything else, but in a sense they are. They're teachings I've learned, experiences I've had, lessons I've learned. So I'm more than happy to share those. But we also want to make sure that when we put this out there, it's for people who they're ready for it. And a lot of people have been. So to show people, like, we're not trying to tell people to physically fight back. We're just showing how people can have a distance from those people. We know, we see them all the time. A lot of times it's our family members, it's a friend, it's a neighbor, it's a coworker, it's a classmate, somebody who just can make your life difficult. But what are we doing to think about it ahead of time? This is where you play chess. It's a thinking game, because most of our lives are wash, rinse, repeat. So when you come across that same coworker, when you come across that same classmate, how are you going to deal with that? Short of them physically putting their hands on you, you have the ability to think about what you want to say ahead of time and counter it, or just prepare yourself to not have to deal with that impact at all. This is what seatbelts are for. This is what putting a lock on your doors for. It keeps sometimes the external things we can't control, at least in some level of control. Okay, so we set our minds to it, and that way we have the ability to say, you know what, I can't control what they're going to say, but I can control what I do about it. We've had a lot of good conversations with people who still decided that, fighting was their way because they weren't a punk, or they weren't going to take that sort of disrespect and things like that. And my thoughts and feelings for that is I want to respect myself enough to know that I had enough control not to let somebody pull me out of who I normally am. And that's an important place to be. So we have a lot of good stuff. Once again, we go on a very frequent basis as far as the exercise goes. And the important part about the exercise, once again, is it's built for all stages and ages. So when we talk about adaptations, look, if you can't do push-ups off your feet, do them off your knees. If you can't do them off your knees, do them off of your kitchen counter, something that's not going to move. If you can't do that, start at the wall. If you can't do the wall, you just push out and just squeeze your muscles as you do. There's always a way to exercise, move the body, and feel better for it in the aftermath. I think that there's a very small percentage of people who just absolutely can't. And there's probably a larger percentage of people who just choose not to, or haven't figured out that they can yet. So there's a lot of importance to that when we're talking about that. So we want to be able to continue to spread a positive message. And our big part of it is HWPO. That means hard work pays off. And I don't think that there's truer letters that go together with that. So when we're talking about hard work paying off, it can be in any area. Have you studied a lot for that test and you did well? If you really worked out and you made that team, if you were studying your music or studying that language test or whatever it is. And sometimes it's just working on yourself. eating better, saving money, just trying to be a better person, personal, professional life, either way. I think that all of those things ring true when you're talking about hard work pays off. We have our own slogans, we have our own mantras, we have our own philosophy, and I think that that makes us a little bit different than some other channels. And I don't say that we're better, I just think that we're different, maybe a little bit more deep in thought when it comes to things. So we do get into our belief of starting your day with RCG, and RCG is something that we'll talk about on another video. I think I want to set that one up to be maybe like part 2 to just talking impact. But in the meantime, this is what we have, this is where we're at, and this is for the people in the chats that we ask just some simple things. To really respect yourself, to respect others, to leave the man-made divides out, the religion, the politics, the gender, sexual orientation, all of that, and to just not be a mean-spirited person. I think those are simple things. When I say mean-spirited, we're not talking down about other people, and we're not talking down about ourselves either. If that's your mindset, you got to fix your mindset, because what we don't want is that for that mindset to start to take away from the enjoyment of the chat. We're certainly here to support people and help people, but at some point you have to figure out what it is that you want for yourself before other people can help you with that. And we're okay with that. We're okay. We're a patient bunch, and I think that again, it's a very special place to be. So I don't have much more to impart on that, but I may jump in and do a video on RCG and possibly some other talking points that we have. But in the meantime, please ace up the sleeve, leave me your advice, comment, experience, leave me some thoughts in the comments, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. And like we like to say, HWPO, that means hard work pays off, and this is the Impact Athletics Association. And in the meantime, I will probably set up another couple videos and a subscription button. So guys, share this content. We'd love to have more people join the community. So stick around.